Have you ever heard a story and you thought, I just want to know what actually happened because that success is amazing, but I just don't believe it was quite that easy? We're going to dive into that today on the Opt-in Podcast. I am Melissa Franks, your host, and this is where we go from surviving to thriving in business. And today, I'm going to be a little reflective. I was doing this once a quarter when I was running a startup and had just launched this podcast. And then, frankly, I went a little bit dark on y'all because I didn't have any lessons to share yet. There's a lot of people that are out there as influencers and have large personal brands. And one of the things that they often say is, don't share when you're in the middle, share when you're on the other side, because that's where the lessons and learnings come from. Now, I do think that there is a gift with people being vulnerable and transparent in the messy middle, because that inspires you to keep going. It helps build relationship and show that we're really all in this together, just trying to figure it out. Today, what I want to do is I want to spend a little bit of time as we're at the end of the first quarter of 2025, talking to you about what I have learned, what I have experienced, and hopefully give you a few valuable insights and tips that you can take into your business or take into a business that you launch or help the person that you work with so that you can inspire action with scalable results. It's always really interesting when I meet somebody for the first time because my business is to help other people's businesses get unstuck and scale and optimize and grow, essentially. And so the very first thing that they often want to ask is how my business is going. And it's really easy to identify opportunities and solutions for other people. It's really difficult to do that for yourself. And so I was just talking about a significant win that I had in my business with one of the women that I have learned an awful lot from. She asked me a question, just kind of off to the side. She's like, did you ever imagine that this was possible? And that answer's got a couple of questions. So when I started this business, and for those of you that are new here, I started On-Call COO when my back was up against a wall. I had been working for a startup that became insolvent, and for a variety of reasons, the safety net that I had negotiated for myself evaporated. So I was left without a job and with 3 kids to support and a whole bunch of other things happening simultaneously. And there wasn't a job prospect in sight. Did I work the networks? Did I call the people? Did I do all the things? Of course. But when you are a CXO, fill in the blank, it takes a while to find the roles because they're not published and they're quiet and you have to know somebody. And as I was doing that slow work, I knew I needed fast cash. And the best way for me to do that was to monetize my expertise. Now, I had tried this thing before. I had tried starting a business based on my expertise and it hadn't gone well. And I was really, really concerned that if this is what I was going to rely on, regardless of my business acumen, I just couldn't figure out how to launch a business on my own. So in late 2023, that's exactly what I did. And I'm going to tell you that this time last year, so 6 months into starting that business, things were dismal. They were dismal. It was not the rags to riches story. It was not this super easy, glossy picture. In fact, I had tapped into my network so much that it was completely dry. No credible leads had shown up. People had their feelers out. I'd done interviews, but literally nothing was popping. And a combination of skill meets will meets opportunity allowed me to start working with a business that I had been learning from for years. And it literally saved the ship. I had no revenue coming in March of 2024. None. I didn't even know where I could get revenue. And as luck would have it, or as I say, divine intervention, stepped in and afforded me an opportunity to continue to leverage my expertise for income. And as much as it was peace of mind that I had another client I was working with, internally, I was frightened because I knew that it was just a variety of circumstances that allowed me the opportunity to have the conversation that had us working together, and that was not a sustainable business model. I knew relying on word of mouth and referrals and being at the right place at the right time and overhearing the right conversation was not how you scale a 6-figure business, let alone a 7-figure or an 8-figure. It wasn't how I was going to consistently be earning income to put food on the table. It wasn't going to be how I could sustain the lifestyle that my kids were accustomed to. And let's be honest, it was not like some flashy lifestyle. It was just like a middle-class, average, run-of-the-mill family where they got to play their sports and, had new clothes and food on the table. It was nothing glamorous. I mean, in fact, those of you, because you don't know me in real life, my car's 15 years old. Like, we're not living the high life over here. And I was looking for income that would just allow me to sustain. And so I knew a year ago that what I was doing, and I was trying everything, was not going to generate the outcome that I wanted. And I had to do something different. And it was at that point where I had to do what I do for others in my business. And I realized a couple of things, and you may be in this position too. Sustainable long-term businesses do not solely rely on referral and word of mouth. They need multiple approaches to identifying and attracting leads. And it needs to extend significantly larger than your small community and your small network. That is because of the law of averages. You need to have X number of conversations for one of them to yield a potential prospect and for one of those prospects to actually become somebody that you want to work with. So I knew that the model that I was operating in, the lead generation model I was operating in, didn't work. And so what did I do? I tried everything I was told to do. I tried running a challenge. I tried hosting free masterclasses. I paid ads to grow an email list. Nothing worked. Nothing worked. I kept doing all of the things. I kept trying all the things I did. I took all of the tactics that I was implementing with people that I had worked with and implemented them in my business, and still nothing was working. And then what I realized is that I had missed the mark on buyer psychology. So the first thing that you can learn from me is that relying on referrals, warm network, your local community to grow and scale your business, unless you're a brick and mortar, and even then, is not a long-term viable strategy for scalable, sustainable growth. The second is that you need to understand buyer psychology. You need to understand the exact person that will make a decision to buy from you. And what you need to know is, where are they looking? How are they determining if you're the right fit, or your product or your service is the right fit? Where are your competitors offering them things when you aren't? But really, who is this profile of this person? What do they like to do? How do they spend their time? How old are they? What gender are they? Buyer psychology. And so in my head, I had kind of done all of this work around the sorts of businesses I had wanted to work for. But what I wasn't thinking about is the actual human. And as soon as I realized that I couldn't create a scenario where all of a sudden a business owner had an aha moment and realized they needed me, I needed to be in places where the business owner already knew they needed help and I was the solution. And that literally blew everything open. It was insane. And the reason for that was because the challenges and the master classes and nurturing the email list and like all of these things, what they were intended to do was highlight a problem that the business owner was facing and deliver my business as a solution. Well, guess what? That wasn't working. And for many businesses, it just doesn't work. In my case, the effort needed to be put into getting myself into the places where when they knew they needed help, I was there raising my hand all of the time saying, I'm here and I can help you, and here's why. And it took me months to figure that out. So in March, I was able to start working with a business that was able to help me tread water. My head was still going underwater more than it was staying above it, but that happened. And then I was able to start working in pockets of time around lead generation that was not referral and was not my warm network. And as I did that, I failed a whole bunch, like I talked about, and then had this moment where I realized that I was taking the wrong actions for the buyer that is really going to ultimately agree that we should work together. And so then, as soon as I realized that, the next question was, well, where are they looking? Are they looking for me and my business on LinkedIn? Are they looking on Google? Are they looking in Meta? Like, where are they looking for me? And I did a bunch of research and a bunch of question asking. And then I tried a whole bunch of stuff on social media, all which didn't work. And I realized that that's because I'm similar to a management consulting firm. In business type, what we do is incredibly different here, but I'm similar to that. So where are people learning about management consulting firms? Where are they looking for them? Where are they hiring them? And as soon as I realized that I was directing my attention and energy into the wrong places, so while the people that I wanted to talk to were there, they weren't there to talk to me. And I needed to redirect my energy in places where they were looking for me. And that equaled places they could search. And it was like this light bulb moment went off because I was spending so much time and attention on my personal brand and social media and all of these things. And all of a sudden I realized that's just like, you can't search on social media. That's not where to go. Very first, I determined I needed to change my lead generation strategy. And then I determined what the buyer psychology was. And then I had to do a little bit of research and investigation on where are those buyers when they're ready to do something. Like, where are those people? Who are they? Where are they located? What are their activities and actions? How are they searching? Like, what's going on? And so I built this whole model. Meanwhile, let's be very, very clear. Nothing was working. So now we're in July of 2024. I still have this one account that I'm so grateful for. I'm still treading water with my head breaking the surface sometimes, but not all of the time. And then I learned how to run ads on Google. I know this is like not a new concept, but I did that summer. I invested in updating my website and learning enough about SEO to be able to do it in the right way. It was something I had not wanted to do. I literally was like the anti-SEO girl. I'm like, you don't need it. It's not a big deal. Spoiler alert, it's a big freaking deal. I did research around what components my website needed to have. I built new lead magnets and I learned the skills that I needed to start leveraging my friend Google. Now, I didn't get it right. I started running ads in August and I didn't get it right. Not at all. And it wasn't until I sat down with the woman, Ashley Brock, who taught me how to run paid ads, that she helped me tweak some things and it just changed the entire landscape of the world. But the point of this isn't a who you know situation. From a business strategy perspective, as I went through those months that went from March to September when we finally got the Google ads running correctly, there was a whole series of learnings that I had to go through. And it's the exact same process that I take my clients through. When a business stalls, so if you're in this position where your business is stalled or growth is a little bit stuck, you have to go back to the basics. Where are the people coming from? And is that sustainable? Is it predictable? Just today, I had that exact same conversation with a small business owner. She relies on word of mouth in her local community, and currently it's feeding her plenty of leads. However, it's incredibly unpredictable. She has no idea what her monthly revenue is going to be, and some months it's fantastic, and some months she's barely paying expenses. And that's kind of where I was. When a business takes off initially, because it relies on a local community or your warm network, it can be misleading that the best way for you to grow your business is through referral and word of mouth. So when you stall, the very first place you have to start and look and say, where are the people coming from? Are they qualified? Are they the right people? Is it consistent? Is it predictable? And if you can't answer yes to any of those questions, then it means you need an alternate lead source. It means you need to do some work. And then let's say that you are getting all of those people in. Let's say that you are getting everybody in, but nobody's converting. Nobody's becoming a client. Nobody's buying your product. So the next question is, why? Are these really the right people? Are the tactics I'm employing the ones that they would expect? Is this solution the right solution for them? You have to sort of get into the head of the prospects and the buyers and determine if somebody's going to buy, why? And what's the timing of that? And what's the trigger for that action? And then you have to pair those things together when you know who's normally a buyer and you know what your reliable lead sources are, or at least where you want to play around with. Then you go out and you start playing around with them and you test and you test and you test and you test. You see that 6 months of 2024 between March and September, all I was doing was testing. And that's what business is in the end. You create a hypothesis, and then you go out there and you see what happens. And most of the time, like as in my case, they all failed. I gave it a shot. I threw ad dollars behind it. I stayed up super late at night. I did all of the things. And in the end, every single thing that I tried until I started running Google Ads didn't work. And that's the nature of business. You're going to try a whole bunch of things and you're going to spend a lot of money, whether it's on coaches or training or just actual business activities and experts. And you're going to do all of that before you have a magic moment, which isn't so much magic as it is all of the work leading up to it, that things start to go differently. And for me, it was that moment sitting in Florida, although I didn't know it then, that was the culmination of all of the things. You see, the reason that it was a culmination was because not only did I have the technical skills, not only did I have the expert literally sitting like right next to me on the couch, but I also had spent 6 months testing SEO, evaluating who and mindset and the words that they use to search and what they're looking for and the content and the information. And so it allowed me to pair technical skills with the expert sitting next to me and everything that I knew about the prospects that were just searching and waiting for me to show up in front of them. And all of that combined together is what created a winning strategy for Google Ads. It wasn't that I was running Google Ads. That was just the mechanism. If I hadn't done all of that work over the course of the 6 months and paired the knowledge that I had and the research that I have and the things that I had tried and failed at with the skills and the expert, I could have just kept doing what I was doing, which was running a Google ad that wasn't generating any leads. So I say all of that to encourage you that if you're in a season of failure, you just have to keep testing. You just haven't tried the right thing. You haven't put the right combination of elements together in order to get the result that you want. Because you see, when I put all of that together, everything changed in October. Everything changed in October. If you had asked me a year ago what I saw happening with my business right now, I would have told you that I hoped I had enough money to pay my bills every month and to feed my kids and keep my head above water. I was hoping for survival. That was it. I couldn't look forward. I couldn't look at vacations. I couldn't look at anything. I just wanted to be able to pay for gas and groceries and clothing and electricity. That's where I was. And so in October of last year, when all of a sudden, out of nowhere, so it seemed, I was getting free consultations booked. And then I was adding new clients to the roster. And some existing clients were making their way out to make room for some new clients. And all of a sudden, month over month, I was having new calls and new conversations with new businesses that I would have never, ever crossed paths with if it wasn't for them knowing that they needed fractional COO support and them searching for it and my ad appearing in front of them. Because what I had learned with that buyer work that I did was that they needed to be looking for me, that I would not convert a prospect that didn't know that they needed my services. I would only convert a prospect when they knew that they did. And that has proven to be true over and over and over and over. And now, if we just flash forward 6 months, it's not even been 6 months, it's been like 5 freaking months, you guys. 5 months. We just fast forward. January was a crazy month, but on average, I have 4 to 6 consultation calls a month. I have other fractional COOs that are a part of my brain trust and are going to be working with their own clients under the umbrella of on-call COO. I have a viable business that has predictable income and I understand what my expenses are. I have peace of mind that there is a way for me to continue to generate leads and prospects for my business when I need them. I have enough room now to take a deep breath and take a day off. And for the first time since 2023, I'm actively talking to the kids about planning vacations. There's hope and calm and joy because the fact of the matter is I love what I'm doing. I get to help so many business owners every single day. And not only that, the ones that I have consultations with and that they don't end up working with us right now anyway, I get to have these amazing conversations and make amazing connections, and in most cases, be able to solve a problem for them right in the call. I'm now able to pair my expertise with the people that actually need it and add value, and I have purpose every single day. Now, I don't have it all figured out. I solidly have a 6-figure business, which is amazing, because 6 months ago, I definitely did not. And I have a renewed inspiration for what is possible. And the best part is that the helpers are now showing up. Because not only am I able to cultivate a strong leads list and a healthy client base and bring more people into the organization to help more businesses, which my mission is to make a massive impact in the small business space. And by being able to grow the size of the team, I'm going to be able to do that. But I also have the helpers coming who are now saying, here's an opportunity. Here's a way that you can do this. And I got some super cool news today that I'm so excited about, because a year ago, if you had told me that I would be asked and invited to fly to New York to film a news segment live on TV, I would have laughed you out of the room. And just today, that opportunity presented itself, and I said yes, and I'm doing it in May. I'm just beginning my journey of being findable and known and a leading expert in the small business space. And all of that is possible because the me from a year ago didn't give up. All of that's possible because I put my head down and I tried and I failed and I tested and I kept doing it until I found the magic formula. Now, is the world going to be perfect? I'm going to be able to be successful for the rest of my life based off of what I learned in the last 12 months? No. As all things in business, new challenges and new problems present themselves, and business and lead generation models will change and things will have to pivot and go differently. And that's kind of my point, is that you build upon what is working so that you can continue to evolve. So now I know it's Google strategy working quite well. That's fantastic. So now what else do I need to augment in? Do I need to add my personal brand? Do I need to add a bigger team? What do we need to do next? So as you are going through, I want you to just think back about where I am in this story. And this is just part 1 of a very long novel. How to get the business off the ground, how to get the business to be predictable, how to have the business be in a place where it's manageable and growth is an option. The next chapter that we're going to write is all about growing, and boy, can I expect there's going to be growing pains. Can I expect that there's going to be new challenges that present themselves that I could solve very easily for other people, but it's going to be challenging for me to solve for myself. I'm so excited about that though, because the really cool thing for me is that because my business is the business of other people, helping them get unstuck and grow and scale, I get to see it from both lenses. I get to experience the growing pains myself. I get to experience the struggles and the problems myself, and I get to experience what that euphoric win is like when you overcome it. So now the businesses that I support, not only do I understand the tactics and the frameworks and the strategies, the solutions and the decision-making that have to happen in order for them to achieve the results that they want, but I understand the psychology behind it too, because I'm in the same boat as them. I'm able to apply what I know, both emotionally as well as intellectually. This is just the freaking beginning, and I am so excited. So I wanted to record this episode and give you kind of a behind the scenes glimpse into kind of what I was doing as I was getting this business off the ground, because it wasn't smooth sailing and it was really scary. And there's a lot of times I wasn't sure if I was going to make it. And I didn't let those thoughts come in because I knew that if I started thinking it, it was going to be so. And there was no option. So whether it was a combination of mindset and manifestation and freaking just pure grind, I'm never really going to know. But what I can tell you is that there was no other option. I refused to give up. I kept trying until it worked. And today, I'm sitting in a place where the opportunity and the possibilities are endless. I hope this was inspiring to you. I'd love to hear what you have to say. So comment on this episode or shoot me a DM. And until we meet next time, please know that you are wise and you are strong and you are capable, and I believe in you.